Hello. Welcome back, everybody, to more TTBurger game reviews. And I'm your host, Tony, and we're continuing my Crash Bandicoot Series review, Part 2, as we're taking a look at the games after Naughty Dog lost the license, and we're taking a look at what happened after that. And this is episode 167, Part 2 of 4, as today we're going to be diving into the PlayStation 2 era of Crash Bandicoot. And before we get started, I'd like to give a shout out to my friend HHHaircutter95, and I hope you're enjoying, because I know she loves Crash Bandicoot, so I hope you enjoy HHHaircutter95. This is for you. And before we get started here, we have a lot to talk about. Before we can even get started, fresh and hot off the grill, ready to be served, is a TTBurger recap to show y'all what you missed. And I took a look at Crash Bash for the PlayStation 1, gave it a 5.5 out of 10 because it was a mediocre mini game party based game where it got repetitive after a while, and me not being a big fan of these type of games like that, it can get boring after a while and stuff, even with friends like that, which I know they're meant for friends, but just me, I couldn't really get into it. And if you like it, hey, more power to you, but me, I wasn't big into it, is what I'm gonna say there. And as like I said here, today we're gonna get started on the PlayStation 2 era of Crash Bandicoot. And I remember the promos on TV and the ads, like in the gaming magazines at times, like we're saying, like the PlayStation Underground magazines, or whatever you call them. And I remember the ad saying Crash Bandicoot lands on PlayStation 2 in big printed letters. Crash Bandicoot lands on PlayStation 2. And I was happy. I was thinking, yay, more Crash Bandicoot after the mediocre Crash Bash. We needed a new Crash Bandicoot game, especially because this was the next gen consoles coming out. And this game was first on the PlayStation 2 exclusively, but then was later ported to the Nintendo GameCube and then the Xbox. And yeah, let's talk about here, so let's get started. We got it right here. Here's Crash Bandicoot, the Wrath of Cortex, by Traveler's Tales and Universal Interactive, released first on the PlayStation 2 on November 1st, 2001, and then April 16, 2002 for the Xbox, and then September 17, 2002 for the Nintendo GameCube. We're looking at the PlayStation version, the PlayStation 2 version, it's the only version I have. And I will say that I did like Crash Bandicoot, the Wrath of Cortex. I know a lot of people hated this game because of like reasons X, Y, and Z, and I do admit this game has issues that do affect the game for me overall, but it's still a good game, just not as good as the Naughty Dog games like Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped, or Crash Bandicoot Strikes Back, or Crash Team Racing, or so, as I'm going to say there, which I know comparing a go-kart game to this, and so yeah. One of the first problems with Crash Bandicoot Wrath of Cortex is like what happened when they were creating the game. It was first going to be this open world game traveling from planet to planet, meeting new characters along the way with multiple endings. And imagine how cool that would be. An open world Crash Bandicoot game traveling from planet to planet and meeting new people with multiple endings. That would have been awesome. But when Traveler's Tales took over, the game ended up being similar to the last three original games, which I don't mind, they were awesome. But with the PlayStation 2, you would hope for something new and innovative, and it just felt like the same thing again. It's just what it is there. One of the new features that Crash Bandicoot Wrath of Cortex offers is for the first time ever completely, you can play as Coco Bandicoot, Crash's sister, for the first time. And I don't just mean like in vehicles, like in Crash Bandicoot Warped. I mean like you play some levels with her platforming and everything. I mean, sure, like I said, you played as her in like Crash Bash, Crash Team Racing, and Crash Bandicoot Warped, but not like this where you had full control over her. And that's a nice feature because I always wanted to play as Coco Bandicoot, and I got my wish finally. The story of Crash Bandicoot, the Wrath of Cortex, is that Uka Uka, who is Aqua's evil twin brother, is furious and outraged that Neo Cortex, Tiny Tiger, Dingo Dial, Dr. Nefarious Trophy, and Dr. Engine have failed once again, and he's had enough of the failures. He's done. Dr. Neo Cortex comes up with a plan to get rid of Crash Bandicoot once and for all by using a genetically enhanced super weapon of unbelievable strength. But it's missing a power source. Uka Uka comes up with the idea to use the Elementals, a group of 4 renegade masks who had the elements of earth, water, fire, and air, ravage the globe long ago, causing earthquakes, floods, and an ice age. They were imprisoned by the ancients using the aid of special crystals that put them in hibernation. Cortex decides if they awakened him, they could get rid of Crash Bandicoot for good. Then Aku Aku realizes what Uka Uka has done and gets him, Crash Bandicoot, and Coco Bandicoot off Earth and into the warp room using Coco's virtual reality hub system. They also learn of Cortex's super weapon, Crash Bandicoot, who was pretty much similar to what they wanted Crash to be in the first game when he was a rejected test subject. And knowing this is imminent danger, Aku Aku tells Crash and Coco to find crystals to seal the elementals yet again. It's a good story, lengthy story which has a very long cinematic stuff, which I didn't mind. It's a good story, lengthy story, good story overall. Presentation here, I gotta say, for Crash Bandicoot the Wrath of Cortex, you'd think with the next gen hardware, they would improve taking advantage of the PlayStation 2's hardware. But for this game though, the graphics are just okay. They come off as somewhat flat, like an HD PlayStation 1 game. Sure, the character models look decent and stuff, but the graphics just feel somewhat flat. I mean, the backgrounds also look okay, but the lighting can be a bit dark at times. It'd be hard to see where you're going. And the in-game cutscenes show close-up of the character models, and they do not look the best. They have, like, once again, big eyes and stuff. I mean, sure, Crash, Coco, and Aku Aku look good, but the other characters, like the elementals and that, just look bland and generic looking. I know they're masked, but still. The PlayStation 2 version, in my opinion, looks the best, though, with the best graphics. The Xbox version is almost on par with the PlayStation Edition 2 version, both were at 60 frames per second, but the GameCube version is the worst, with frame rate issues and only 30 frames per second and stuff like that, and the GameCube version really suffered. It was the port that suffered the most, but I'll talk about that later. Still okay graphics, could have been better, though. For sound, I gotta say good sound. Once again, crisp voice acting. Most of the editors from the previous games are back, like Clancy Brown, who voices Neil Cortex and Uka Uka, along with Mel Wigler, who voices Aku Aku, and the voice acting is crisp, just like I said. The music has that Crash Bandicoot feel to it and works well. But if you're playing the GameCube version, there's going to be sound issues where the voices sound very uneven to where you'll have to mess around with your volume on your TV constantly. Sometimes the volume can be too loud and you'll blow out your eardrums and stuff like that, and you'll hurt your ears. So yeah, the GameCube version suffered the most, like I said, and still overall great sound, but let's continue here. The gameplay is good, but it has its moments where it just isn't that good. First, despite the changes Traveler's Tales made, it still has a Crash Bandicoot feel to it. It can be too similar at times though, but still fun to platform your way to the end with the crystals, collecting the relics, and everything else and more and more. And playing as Coco Bandicoot for the first time certain levels is also cool and fun, even though they're short and she can handle a little too similar to Crash, but still. She has like her certain moves like she instead of doing a spin move like Crash does, she kicks and stuff like that. And you have vehicle levels in 2, which are just like in Warp. You go through 25 levels, getting the crystals, getting the gems, getting the relics, getting whatever you can to 100% the game. It plays like Crash Bandicoot with a classic feel to it, and it's great that you can play as Coco Bandicoot and stuff, but just that I wish there were more levels you could play as Coco Bandicoot, because I actually was hoping that they would make a spin-off to Crash Bandicoot where you play as Coco Bandicoot the whole time, but unfortunately that never happened. But still, it's good to play as Coco Bandicoot here in a main Crash Bandicoot game where you platform your way and everything like that. And it got some cool variety to the levels. Like I said, one of them is like some swamp water area, and another one is like snow, and another one is like fire with volcano, like fits the theme of like the elemental stuff that like a rock for like Rocco, and like instead like Rocco the rock elemental and stuff like that. Just has the feel to and stuff, and definitely has a lot of fun. Of course you can fly airplanes, go-karts, motorcycles and stuff, and hey, fun time there and stuff, definitely. And unfortunately, we gotta talk about the bads, and there are quite a few bads here, so let's bear with me here. First off, the load times on the original Black Label PlayStation 2 version are very, very long. They go up to 45 seconds, and it's just strange why the game takes a long time to load when the game doesn't even look that good. And like the load times are long on the original Black Label version of PlayStation 2. And here I'll show you here. I'll time it for you right now. The greatest hits version along with the Xbox and Nintendo GameCube versions, however, the load times are much shorter, but just the original Black Label version, the load times get to 45 seconds like I said. And when this first happened, I thought my copy was defected or something like that, but I found out this happens only in the original Black Label version, because other people I know who had the Black Label version had this happen to them, but still, still like, we gotta continue here. The lighting in certain levels can be pretty dark, where it's hard for you to see and you'll fall and die. And the vehicle levels, while they are fun, there's way too many levels that have vehicles in them, and some of them are mandatory. We have to use throughout the whole game. And like the worst ones are the minecart, because like it handles very loosely, and your submarine that you do in some underwater levels is very stiff. Some of you can just like avoid using the vehicles, but some of them you have to use a mandatory, and some of these levels can be pretty long and frustrating. And the brutal difficulty second half of the game, mainly due to all the nitro crates and TNT crates, tons of them, where you're pretty much losing a lot of aku-akus and stuff like that, or dying a lot, losing a lot of lives. And of course, the load save system is awkward. I mean, I know like in the previous games, you pretty much lower save game by standing right in front of the load save thing. But here, sometimes it doesn't work. You have to be standing in the exact spot to get the load save feature to work, and this spot is pretty precise, so just saying there. So my final thoughts here are, and stuff like that, aside from that, there's not much I have to say. I mean, it's still a good game, just not as good as the other original PlayStation games like that, so I'm just saying there. I mean, it's better than Crash Bash, but just that those of you who are looking for the next big sequel to Crash Bandicoot Warped, you'll be somewhat disappointed here, but it still has its fun moments to it for sure. And I still recommend it. And I know the GameCube version suffered badly, and the Xbox version was similar to the PS2 version and stuff. But me, the only PlayStation 2 version, I say check them out. You decide on which version you want to get. Due to the place I have with Crash Bandicoot Wrath of Cortex, a 7.5 out of 10 is the best score I can give it because of the problems I have with it. But still, it's a better game than Crash Bash. All I gotta say there. And that's it for episode 167, part 2 of 4. Next part, we're going to zoom ahead to a racing scene, to another go-karting game similar to Crash Team Racing called Crash Nitro Kart for the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube, and more. And how does this game fare? Is this game better than Crash Team Racing, or does it end up being a pile of shit, or so? We'll have to find out in part 3 of 4 of episode 167 as my Crash Bandicoot Series part 2 continues. And you know what to do. If you like what you see here, subscribe, like the video, comment down below, join my Discord group, TTBurger Gamers United. There's also more people to join. Link is in the description below. It will not wait 24 hours, so click on the link if you can. If you want to join, go ahead. But all I gotta say is Tony. Peace out, have a great day, and see you all in part 3 of 4. We'll take a look at Crash Nitro Kart.